Hello and welcome to the Tarkis Zone. Thank you for joining me. Today we're going to be talking about New World, and I'm just going to go over some basic thoughts and ideas as I show you some game footage. Now, I scrubbed this game footage off the internet. Some of it is a little grainy at times, but it's just really to be in the backdrop of my video as we discussed a few topics that I want to talk about today. And again, if you're one of the people who have already surfed the internet and have gobbled up all the information that is out there, you're not going to hear anything new here. My video here is with hopes that if you're on the fence about getting this game, that you'll look at my video as, don't be on the fence anymore, go get the game, let's play the game together. So I'm just going to start the video, and then I'm going to be talking about the topics I want to talk about. The game is designed to be an MMO, an action RPG, I guess is what they call it. It's not tab targeting. It means that you've actually got to control your character and do blocking, dodging, and attacking with abilities that they give you as part of your weapon build. And I've paused the video here so that we could talk about the factions. I'm not going to get into the factions in details. I do not know if one faction has a different kind of bonus than the other. I don't know that. I haven't played alpha. I haven't played beta. I just know there's 3 factions you can choose from when you reach level 10. So when you take on level 10, I believe there's a NPC in the world that you talk to, and then you decide which faction you want to be in. Again, I'm not really sure what the unique abilities are between the factions, or if it's just role play aspects of the game, because that's what it could be. That no faction has an advantage, it's just a role play, or each faction has their own kind of backstory, and and as you do quests, the backstory or the story mode part of the game evolves. So that might be what it is. I do want to tell you though that the factions, if you've got one faction, they can't attack another of the same faction's town or castle. And I want to talk about that briefly. That if you've got 2 opposing factions, when they come together in the game, they're not PvP'd. They can PvE around each other all day long, even though they're from the opposing faction. There's nothing you really can do to the other faction unless they go back to their town, flag up to PvP, you go back to your town, flag up PvP, and then when you back out into the world together, you guys can dance. And that's really how it works. So if you're wanting to play a PvE game, if you never flag in this game, then it's going to be a PvE game for you. It's not like World of Warcraft open world PvP where you walk up to a horde and obviously you guys can do your thing. In this game, you've got to be flagged. You got to be flagged at the last town you were in, or the closest town that is your faction. So you don't have to be in a town that your company or guild controls, but you got to you can go into a town that is controlled by your faction and flag up if that's what you want. I even believe that even if it's not your faction, you can flag up into the town. And I don't know how that works, but I do know this. Now, this is what's been going around the internet, and people are like all nervous about it. If I am faction A and I have my people, and I'm in my own guild, my own company, and I have my people undermine a fort in a town from another faction, and we do the quest progressions, the PvP or even the PvE quest progression to bring our influence over to their boundaries to a point where we've undermined them, we can attack them, and then we destroy them. So let's say that scenario works out, we all destroy them, we now control that town, we control that fort, and our influence map, kind of goes around them. And it's a lot like how BDO did it, where as you took on more influence, or as you did your battles, you would have a map influence of what that your guild controlled. And as we play this video, I'm going to play the video now. We'll see that. I'll point that out when we get there. But what happens is, once you've taken over that new town, that was the opposing faction, there's nothing in the game that tells those people to move out. And they don't even have to pay their taxes. They just won't get the bonuses by being a citizen of that town anymore. So let's say, for example, I take over the town, my company takes over the town, there's nothing to kick them out, they're the opposing faction, and they live in that town still, and they are now governed over you as the governor of the company or guild that took you over. Now, what the concern is here is because they're in the town, they can just flag up all day long because there's nothing to drive them out. And I want to pause the video here because I do want to talk about this, but I want to go continue this scenario. So the only way for these people that you've taken over their town to kind of get rid of their revenge is to go become a citizen of another town, help that town, they would have to be a town of their faction, help that town undermine that town again to help get it back. But if these people decide to stay, there's nothing you can do about it. They don't have to pay the taxes. If you don't pay your taxes, you don't get kicked out of the town. You basically don't get any of the benefits that town provides. So they could be there all day and they can do their own thing. I'm not sure if they can access the workbenches or not. I think they still can. I just don't think they get the town bonuses. So people are concerned that if I, as a guild, undermine a faction city, town, and I take them over, they can make my life hell because they could just stay there, flag all the time, and anytime we go in there to do our thing, they could be attacking us. I don't know how. I don't know if there's guards that would not allow the PvP to be around the town itself, where the guards themselves are OP. I'm not really sure how that's going to work, but somebody's made that as a concern that, well, if you can't force them out, because you would think that once you took the town over, you could boot everybody out and say, no, you don't belong here, you're in another faction, go somewhere else. But the game's not designed that way. The game's designed that the actual opposing factions can work in the same proximity. It's just the flagging process is how that is going to work once you've taken over their town. And again, I would think most people will want to leave that town. If I was in a faction where you just rolled over me, I'm not going to stay in that town. I'm going to go find another town in my faction, help them get up, and then hopefully one day take back that. I mean, you could make that your life mission. The sad, lonely explorer that wants to take back his hometown because the evil faction took it a year ago. And you get all these people to help you take back your original town. Now, that could be somewhat cool too in the role play scheme of things. Now, I did want to tell you that if you're part of a company and you're part of a faction, again, you choose that at level 10. But if your company leader, let's say he's faction A, and he'd be the governor of the settlement or the town that you're going to put down. He decides to put his town down at location X. He's going to pay a title fee or a land grab fee, whatever that is. He pays the money. Boom. That he now is the governor of that town. The town's there. Everybody in his company are citizens of that town automatically, I believe. I don't think you got to queue up or anything. But you got to be of the same faction. So you can't be another faction and be part of that, get bonuses for that settlement, I believe. I just don't believe that's the case. So you've got, and if you want to participate in anything in there, because that goes back to my other scenario where why would these other faction people stay in that town if they can't really interact with anything? But again, I believe how it works is you've got to be part of the same faction, and you are in the guild, and you get in the company, you get the bonuses. With that said, there's other people in the world that can come to your town that's not part of your company and can live there. And they can pay their taxes and they can just live there. And they don't, and they'll get the bonuses. How that works, I don't know, but I believe that's the case. Is any one of your faction can put in stakes where you where your company or guild is now living or doing their quests from. And I want to talk about these quests. So as you can see, as for this faction, this is a faction window. There are 6 quests available, and you basically choose which one you want to do. So how this works is you would go into the town, talk to an NPC, and for example, the PvE quests are outlined and the PvP quests are outlined. And there's specific rewards. As you can see, with the PvP quests, the reward not only is these green things, these gemstones is what they're calling them, but you also get these influence points because it's a PvP quest, and that influence points is what helps you get to the top of the leaderboards on how popular your town is. But it also has a mechanic in it where your influence starts to spread. So for example, and we're going to see some mapping here in a second, you're going to see that you've got your town, and then you get the section of influence, and as your guys do the PvP quests and get those influence points, that map, that red area map, starts to grow, and then it starts to overlap into somebody else's area. Keep in mind, you can't attack your own faction. So you can't, like say you put a settlement here, a town here, and this is another guy who gets as close as possible to you within the game mechanics and puts down his town, and he's the same faction as you. There is nothing you can do to ever get rid of him unless you can convince another faction to wipe him out for you. You know, to get into bed with another faction, say this guy's a jerk, I don't, you know, for whatever reason, I want you to take him out and get rid of him, and then we'll come in and take over we'll take it over. But I mean, that's the scenario there. If you want to try to get rid of a neighbor that's your same faction, and the reason why I'm saying that you might want to get rid of your neighbor that's the same faction is he's going to overlap spawn points on you. So his guys are going to want to go out into the world to gather, and you guys might be overlapping that gathering resources. So the guy's got his guys out gathering, and we got our guys out gathering, and there's nothing we can do. They're camping the respawns, we're camping the respawns, and you got this respawn resource problem. And again, there's nothing in the game that's going to resolve that unless you can get a hold of the other faction and kind of get rid of the guy for you. And so that's part of what some discussions were about, is when you got a neighbor that is not really that friendly, what are you going to do? And I guess it comes down to trying to convince the other faction to do your dirty work for you, because you cannot attack somebody. You can't undermine somebody who's in your same faction. You just can't do it. All right. So the video is going to go some more. Again, it's action based. This is an example of people defending one of the forts, and as the videos progress, I'll just be talking about different topics. The other topic I want to talk about is your weapons. There's a mechanism in the game where you can quick change weapons. You can have 3 weapons in those quick slots, so you can have a bow, a sword, and let's say a 2-handed hammer. So you got those 3 guys in your weapon slots. You can quick change to either one of them as you fight. There's a button, boom, 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 you go through them. Each one allows you to slot in 3 abilities, from my understanding. So if I got the sword and I'm using the sword, I've got 3 abilities that I can use with the sword. If I swap to the 2-handed axe, a 2-handed weapon of some sort, that's going to have 3 abilities associated with it. As you use those weapons, you'll be able to level up the weapon and open up tier to better abilities. So you might have at level 1 your sword, and you've got this ability that gives you 5 extra damage when you use that ability. Well, it might level the weapon, and you might be able to get a tier 2 ability of that sort, and that tier 2 ability does 20 extra damage. So you remove that first ability, replace it with a new ability, and now when you use that ability, you're doing 20 extra points of damage. Now, it could be, and I'm sorry about a little bit of the graininess of this video, but as you can see, the icons above these people's heads, they're all in the same company. So you don't really need to worry about, if you understand what your company symbol is, when you're running up to somebody, you'll be able to know if they're in your guild or not based on that symbol. Going back to the weapons. So as you use the weapons more, you get to pick and choose or customize which abilities that weapon, it could be pretty robust, meaning that you could go up a tree where that sword is not doing physical damage, it's doing elemental damage. So you could have an ability that does like 5 electric damage or 5 fire damage. Oh, this is the map that I wanted to talk to while we're here. See, I'm talking about maps of influence. Obviously, you see the blue, the red, and the orange. You can see how the red encompasses both these towns because they're governed over the same company. They're governed over the same guild. And what they've done is they were able to get the second city or fort town let's say, for example, this is a different faction. This town here, you could attack that town, take that town, and then the red would then just engulf them. And that's how I believe it works. So that's just a easy way of looking at it. You know, what the faction and what company oversees that part of the territory. Going to continue the video here. So the weapons are going to be pretty cool. They're going to be pretty slick because I don't think everybody, it allows for uniqueness because not everybody's going to choose the same build. Not everybody's going to throw a shield on, get to tier 5 in whatever, and everybody has that build. No, they might pick and choose how they advance that weapon skill through the weapon interface, and so that they're doing different things. Now there's healing and there's magic in this game. So there's mechanisms to do both those things. Rain of fire, shoot fireballs, heal somebody. There's been a few gameplay footage where for those abilities you use a staff. So maybe the staff, as you level the staff, there's 2 or 3 different trees that you go up so that maybe you choose a little bit of healing and you do a lot of DPS. So you could do healing and DPS at the same time. It just comes down to the 3 abilities that you use into slotting it. And I don't know if you could just slot in 3 of the same weapons so that you could utilize 9 abilities of that weapon. I don't know. So that, for example, I put, my weapon 1 is a staff, my weapon 2 is a staff, my weapon 3 is a staff, and then when I switch to the staffs, I got 3 different unique abilities, meaning that I got 9 abilities for the staff. I don't know if that's an option or not. It'd be cool if it was, but right now I do know that you can slot different weapons in, and each one of them allows you 3 unique abilities to quickly do. Now, you can drag and drop those abilities depending on what access you have within that weapon tree. All right. I think I covered the weapons. This game is not pay to win. They have nothing in the cash shop that allows you to get an advantage. There's no loot boxes. It's just you pay for the game and you play the game. There's no subscription. It's basically you get the game, you play the game, you have fun, or you try to have fun. And some of the footage or some of the alpha leaks that I've seen is people arguing that it's not polished, it's not done, it's garbage. And these are alpha players kind of leaking their displeasure. And they're not supposed to be doing it, but they are doing it. And I'm going to pause the video right here real quick so that you can see here, smelting tier 3. So this is what I'm talking about in the town. As your town develops, the people that are part of that town in that clan or guild up the how the crafting stations can be built and increased. So that's nice to know. So as you go out to the world and do your thing and bring back resources, those resources can be cashed in at quest locations. The governor, I'll explain that in a second. I do want to finish what I was saying though about the combat system and in the three abilities. Again, that is all speculation, but some of the people are saying that the game's not finished, it's not polished. These are alpha players, so that's garbage. Because I'll tell you this: I played ESO Alpha, and there were so many things that weren't finished. There were so many things that were not polished. There were so many things I was like, oh my goodness, why am I helping you alpha test this pile of horse dung? And I was really like, why can I do this? And what happened is they only, for the alpha, only wanted us access to the stuff that they wanted us to test. What happened was when beta was released, everything that I was griping about was there. It was already polished. It was just turned on. They just didn't have it turned on during alpha. And that's what drove me during alpha for ESO was, well, how am I supposed to do this if I can't do this and I can't do this and I can't do this? And I was going into a beta thinking, how the heck, what is going on here, guys? There's no way you can release this game. Well, Tarkis was wrong. They had it all figured out. They just needed to turn it on. And the beta for ESO went as smooth as could be, and it was beautiful. So I'm thinking here is you could be griping about this game as an alpha tester, you noob, but the reality is they might have functions of the games, or even they might have throttled down the graphics while you were playing it, just because they could, knowing that they could turn like a switch, turn it all on during beta, and know their games were going to work beautifully and all the things are going to interact right. I mean, that was an awakening for me when I was alpha testing ESO. Was, I went from hating it to loving it, just within a few days, because alpha ended, then they turned on beta. I got in the beta and I'm like, okay, I'm going to try to do this. I'm going to try to like this game. And it was like, boom. It was like, oh my God, everything that I was crapping about is fixed. It's here. It's polished. Let's do this. So that's my take on that. So again, here, smelting level, it says T3, I imagine that's the tier it is. This guy's going to walk up to a tier 2 smith. So basically, and this guy's doing some inventory swapping, you can create a campfire anywhere in the world. That campfire will allow you to do basic crafting. It will also allow you to respawn at that location. So if you go out into the world, you drop a campfire down, it's there. If you die, you respawn at the campfire. You won't get sent all the way back to your town. Just so you know, you got some storage here. Again, most of the advancements of your fort and town are going to be based on what your governor, your company leader, guild leader does. He's going to put up on the bulletin board what quests he wants you to prioritize. And you can pick and choose which quests you want to do. As people complete those quests, they get finished, and the governor can then slot in another one depending on what is needed in the town. There's going to be a lot of gathering, like this guy's gathering, making big stones and the small stones. There's going to be a lot of gathering, especially when it comes to trying to build your settlement and your town up. And you need to be prepared for the fact is this game is going to be pretty grindy. I have a feeling that you're going to get into the top. You're going to get tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 without even problem. That blacksmith and whatever, get those up to tier 3. And then what's going to happen is it's going to be like, go out and get me 100,000 of this. And it's going to be like, oh my goodness. And if you do the math, it could be like 3 months. It's going to be a little grindy. I do apologize with this flicker. It was part of the original footage. You just have to deal with it. If you've got eye issues, look away now. That was the map. So again, it's going to be a little grindy. It's all going to come down to what the governor has his own little interface system in a building, and he gets to choose the quests that are pertaining to the fort and how you want to build that up. And one of the quests could be go out and get 100 logs, and he puts that in there. Somebody goes out, gets 100 logs, and cashes it in. I don't even know if you actually. It's like a bounty system, really. I don't think you really take the quest. I think it's on the bulletin board, and the first person that throws, the logs at it finishes it up, and then there's a new one available. And I believe the governor chooses which ones you get. As for the NPC that gives you the actual quests where you go in PvP or you go PvE, that I think is a random thing that is just given throughout the. Depending on what your town level is. Now, as you build your town up, new NPCs will show up. They'll give different quests, and world bosses are in the game. You can kill the world boss as many times as you want, but you only can get one drop per 24 hours. So you can go kill the world boss, get your drop, open your chest, get your drop, take your item, and then you can wait another 24 hours to kill it again if it shows up again. Now, I believe they haven't put the mechanism in where you can't support you. So like say you kill the guy and he shows up again, they're going to allow you to continue to do damage to that to help your company out for those people who haven't done that boss. So they don't lock you out to, because there's some games where if you kill the world boss, if he spawns 20 minutes later, you go to hit him, you do no damage. You can't affect him at all. You can't do nothing against him. And I don't believe that's the case here. I believe they're going to allow you to still fight the thing. It's just that you won't get another loot box until 24 hours after you open the first one. So that's how that works. Here, this is a couple campsites down. As you can see, people have campsites down. They're just hanging out in the wilderness. There's the town up above there. The graphics are pretty good. I mean, maybe my renderer here hasn't did it justice, but it looks pretty good. Obviously, some buff abilities here. Somebody he just picked up a buff as you walk through that circle. I mean, it's really detailed. graphics. I mean, it's really neat, and some monsters here that they're fighting. I just want to try to hype the game a little bit for those people that are, you know, on the fence about getting it. I think you'll have fun. I really do. I think there's enough in it, and I don't think you should take any of the alpha rage footage or forum posts that you see out there as anything more than this guy's not having a good time, but all of the game might not be there for that play. That's the thing, is you got to just take it for what it is. I think I've covered a few topics here in this video. That was the end of the video that I kind of put together so you could see the game footage while I kind of talked on. Again, I think you'll have fun, you know, and all the information that I provided in this video. Again, I haven't played the game. I haven't played alpha or beta. I'm just watching videos. I'm just trying to give you the information that you need to make a decision. I think you'll have fun in this game. I really, really do. And if you want to join our guild or company, I'll put that information at the bottom of the screen. We are. There we are. That's our name. You also find us on the Steam forums. And you also find us on, we have our little group there. I'll provide that below. Well, I appreciate you watching my video, and thank you for joining me.